Cold start. How was your week, sir?
Oh, well, not too much. It was another one of those weeks. Not as bad as last week, but a little better. Let's see. What's been going through? Still going through my re-listen of The Adventure Zone. Good shit. Found a video essay talking about like how unique the first arc was. So that was really interesting. What else? Some Yu-Gi-Oh shit. Traded some Yu-Gi-Oh cards.
Exciting.
Yeah. This one dude was needing these certain particular cards to help top. I offered to trade some for them, and yeah, he actually topped. So
good.
Nice.
Yeah, so
I don't know what that means.
got like top place at a tournament.
Okay.
One of the locals.
Sorry.
I'm glad we were on the same page on this one.
Yeah, no, I didn't want to just pretend like I knew what the hell that meant.
Right, like,
Yeah. So
I assumed.
and regionals are actually going to be next weekend over at the Heroes and Fantasies here in town.
Cool.
So I might stop by just to check it out.
There you go.
See how that goes. Not working on any Gunpla per se, but working on a model. It's like a figure bust of Locus Klein from Gundam Seed. So not quite Gunpla, but Gundam related.
Counts.
Yeah,
Okay.
almost done with that. I'm just finishing up the base. But otherwise, I got the whole, like, she's all assembled there. Just gotta snap it on the base once I'm done with that.
Very productive.
Yeah. Played a little bit of Switch. Not so much Fire Emblem this week, but I checked out Crypt of the Necrodancer.
Hell yeah. It's a good game. That's one of the ones I was saying I think you were going to really dig, but it's pretty hard.
Yeah.
It's pretty hard.
Yeah, it is. So it's
but it's good.
Takes some picking up, but
yeah.
it's pretty neat. I like.
If you have no rhythm, do not pick that game up. Like if you're not if you cannot keep a beat, do not pick that game up. It's not playable.
No, what sucks is when you hit the little power up thing, or I guess power down when it like slows down the tempo.
Yeah.
It's like fuck.
Yeah,
so
basically.
That was annoying, but otherwise it was a pretty neat game. Played a little bit more Blossom Tales. Finally finished the first dungeon.
Cool.
So.
Again, it's
fun.
Zelda.
Yeah.
It's just
pretty
Zelda.
much. Yeah. It's
not to take any away from them, but I mean, it really is just Zelda.
Yeah.
With some unique art.
Yeah.
So
it's fine. It's a fine game.
It's fine.
So yeah, I think that pretty much sums up for me.
All right, Mallory.
I listened to a bunch of podcasts this week. It's kind of a blur of what I did since I quit my job, so that's been fun. Didn't play any video games.
All right, get out of here.
Yeah, I know.
I'm just joking.
I did play Pokemon Go.
Oh yeah, that's not a video game.
No, it's a mobile game.
It's an experience.
It's fun. We were all sitting at this like 80s cover band the other night, and they have a Pokestop right there, so we were like listening to it, and we've seen this band a couple of times, and it's really fun, except for they switched out 2 of the band members and made new band members, which was weird, and it wasn't the same as it was before when we used to go. So we just sat at this table playing Pokemon Go the whole time, me and my roommate, one of my roommates. And then what else did I do? That's about it.
All right, awesome.
Yeah.
What a compelling beginning. I feel like, I don't know if we're all asleep. I don't know. Not because of the story,
tired.
but I think I'm a bit tired. I know.
Yeah.
We're going to try to pick that energy up a bit. All right, so.
How was your week?
How was my week? I played a game called Children of Morta. So it's a game I've been waiting for a while. It's kind of like a roguelike with RPG elements. I'm not going to do like a full review on here, but because I do have my first impressions video coming up, but I am going to just quickly walk through it. It's really nice because it takes the roguelike formula, but they add kind of like, instead of losing all your progress entirely, you get to continue with like your currency, and then like your abilities carry over. So each run, basically if you just keep dying but you're collecting enough stuff, you can get better and better until you're good enough to pass the dungeon. And the story progresses even when you die and all this good stuff. There's a lot of interesting characters and stuff. They're all part of like an actual family, but there's like unique story points and like powers that are shared between the family and stuff like that, as well as your own unique ones. So it's really cool. I'll talk about it more on there, but it's definitely worth picking up. It's like $22 on Switch, so good stuff. I think it's on PC already, but yeah. All right, there's no segue. We have Miss Luca on the line, a cosplayer. I keep getting criticized for not introducing who exactly the guest is, and I kept forgetting to. So I got that criticism on the very first episode where we had a guest, and then I kept forgetting every single time, so I remembered now.
Yay!
But yeah, so we have cosplayer Luca on the line. How are you doing?
Hi, good. How are you guys?
Doing good. So what's been going on with you lately? Any fun stuff, con circuits, anything like that?
My life has been a mess lately. I don't even know what day it is anymore. But for the past, 2 weeks or so, I've been a PA on this horror movie, so that's been exciting.
Oh, that's cool.
Because I just moved to LA, 2 months ago, and I want to kind of, break into the entertainment industry. So
Good.
this is, my first time being on set, and, it's, working 12-hour days and getting up at 4 in the morning.
God.
But it was a lot of fun. I learned a lot. And so we finally wrapped that up last Wednesday. So now I'm I don't know what to do with my life anymore.
Are you allowed to plug what that is, or is that kind of under wraps till you unless you've already officially said what it was?
I think I can at least say the name because it's listed on IMDb already. So
Okay.
I think that's public information.
Fair.
But the movie is called Conductor.
Okay. And horror, you say?
Yeah.
Cool.
Nice.
Awesome.
Very interesting. It should be out next summer or so.
Awesome.
Cool.
Awesome. So, and that's your first foray into acting, or the kind of VA, anything like that?
Yeah.
Cool. Well, that's always interesting. I know that I think it was Kiefer Sutherland, I think, talked about it whenever he was voicing Snake on MGS5, where he was just I have been acting for forever, and I'm obviously. This wasn't his words exactly, but he's basically I'm a pretty obviously esteemed actor. I've been in a lot of roles. I'm considered a good actor, obviously, but this is my first time trying to voice something, and he was just it was so hard to do because everything has to be expressed through your. I mean, you can obviously move, you can do whatever you need to do to express that, but actually getting it across and doing it well with just your voice in the end of all things, that's all that's being really picked up, is really, really tough. So it was interesting to hear that because he's basically he basically said he gained respect for VAs because he was just I've never done this before. I didn't realize, kind of what goes into it, and not that I ever disrespected them, but I have a whole new viewpoint on that craft. So But that's really cool though. That's really awesome. How when personal details on the experience, was it? Did you find it to be challenging to kind of do that stuff, or did you kind of find it kind of natural for you?
Well, I actually have a health condition, so I thought it was a huge struggle. Because 2 years ago, I had one of my adrenal glands taken out. So I'm basically this half-functional human being.
Oh.
And I've been a NEET since I graduated in May. So, for the past couple months, it's just been, eat, sleep, and apply for jobs, wake up at noon, and, dick around. So, having that set schedule and, having to be on and, not even the fact that I had to be awake and, on set for 12 hours, but the fact that I had to, constantly be on, socially, that was a huge struggle for me. But, you kind of, get into, the flow of things. When I first started, I was this is miserable. I'm not going to last, 3 days on this set. But you just, you push yourself through it, and you, just stop thinking about anything else. It's just go to set, come home, maybe eat dinner and shower, go to sleep, wake up the next day, and then do it all over again. And then by the end of it, you're wow, it's the last day. I can't believe it. We wrapped on Wednesday, and I was what am I going to do tomorrow?
Right, because that's been a part of your life for a while.
Yeah. But then I also, God, I slept for 12 hours that day. I was
you
just,
slept the whole workday.
Dead tired. It all caught up to me.
Oh, yeah, no, I definitely know that feeling. You're not currently on a 9-to-5 grind while you were doing that, right? Because I'm assuming, obviously, that took...
Oh, God,
that was
no.
Okay. I was going to say, because I didn't think that'd be possible, because you'd pretty much be dead at that point.
Yeah, no, I wouldn't have enough time in the day to work both jobs.
Yeah, for sure. How has LA been treating you so far aside the gig? LA's been good to you?
Oh, I love it here. I mean, I'm from Michigan, so like not having any snow and having it basically be 70 degrees or warmer the entire year is just like heaven.
Yeah, for sure. I can imagine. I was from San Diego and I lived there for a while, so I totally get you on the weather thing. That was definitely a big transition moving to Texas from that. So that is definitely missed. Cost of living wasn't missed because especially where you're living, it's very expensive. But that's cool though. Point of contact over there? Did you just kind of go it all alone?
So I actually lived here for about 2 months last year. I had like an internship, and I stayed with a friend who was my college roommate.
Oh, okay.
So, cool. I live like down the street from her now. I'm like a 5-minute drive from her.
Oh, nice. That's
and then I also have like my mom's uncle lives on the west side somewhere. And,
okay, so you got people. You got people. That's good.
I've got some people, yeah.
Yeah. Just because I've never, ever gone in a situation where I move somewhere where I'm all alone. Like, I've never, like, you know, there's always family or friends or something. Like, so, yeah. That's good. That's good. I can only, that's got to be nerve-wracking to just, like, I'm by myself. I don't know anyone. And I'm going to start at this job and I'm going to live here and I don't know nobody. Yeah, I don't know. I can only imagine. But that's good, though. That's good to hear. That probably, I'm sure that helped it seem comfortable. You know, less awkward of a transition. Was moving a pain in the butt, or did you pretty much do the thing where you just started all over and you basically left a lot of crap back in Michigan?
Well, I have a little SUV, like a little mid-sized sports car or sports, SUV, and I filled that up as much as I could, and I just drove all my shit over.
Oh wow!
Right now, I'm living on an air mattress, which has actually been great because I hate like keeping big, heavy furniture. Because it's my first apartment. It's not the greatest, but it's it's nice enough. But I figure I don't know when I'm gonna move again. So yeah, I have my inflatable air mattress and like this little fold-up saucer chair that I use to play video games in.
There you go. That works. So on the thing of like, obviously you're transitioning more into acting and whatnot now. Do you still have plans, despite the wild and busy life, to continue cosplay?
Oh yeah. I think once I get like a little bit more settled in, and maybe if I like find a 9-to-5 job or something. Like my next plan is to cosplay Joker from Persona 5.
Oh yeah,
nice.
I'm hoping that'll be done in the next couple months.
That's cool. So that answers the next question, which was what cosplay you currently have in mind? Not working on. What was the last cosplay that you had last elaborate cosplay you had pretty much wrapped up before moving and acting?
I think the last one I made was Pizza Siver, and that was more of like a joke cosplay. But yeah, I think that was the only one I've made recently.
And I'm assuming that was before, because you moved and pretty much just started the acting thing right away, right? So that was even before you moved?
Yeah, this was it was back in like May or something.
Okay. So,
yeah,
there's that. How did you get into cosplay in general? Like around what age / school level were you at, and then what piqued your curiosity to be like, this is something I want to try, and then eventually transition into you obviously being a pretty known cosplayer. Obviously, you have a bit of a fan base. So like, how did that kind of all come about?
So I was 15 when I started, and actually I had like never heard of cosplay before, but one of my friends from school, she told me about YumiCon, which is our local convention in Detroit. So I was like, hey, yeah, let's go next year. This looks like a ton of fun. So I put together this like really god-awful Kingdom Hearts 2 Kairi, I think I made the skirt separately. It was like a pink top and like a white skirt, and I like didn't wear a wig, but it was like hella fun. And back in those days, they had like the infamous Youmacon forums. So that's actually where I met like all the Innermind Theaters girls. So we just all started going to Youmacon together like every year, and eventually, since we all lived pretty close together, like within 30, 40 minutes of each other, we just started hanging out all the time and making videos and stuff, and that's kind of like what propelled us into popularity. And we started being in Axon's videos before he retired. And it's like so funny to me these days because Axon was so big when I was just starting out cosplaying, but then he retired for a couple of years. And now it's like I talk to people who've just joined the community, and they're like, "Who's Axon?" And I'm like, "Oh, you sweet summer child."
Yeah. So that's cool. That's really, really cool. Did you ever was cosplay always a hobby, or did you ever get to the point where you were actually doing that as your gig in terms of like it was like a your means of living? Or was that always just...
Oh, God, no.
No, right.
No,
okay,
it's always been a hobby.
I always imagine
I don't have,
one.
like, the attention span to have it as my job.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that. I think that's why a lot of people don't do it for a living, because you really have to have a, like, immense, like huge following. Like, I think that, like, that are buying your prints and maybe supporting a Patreon constantly to be able to do that full time. And I think even as a full-time grind, I can only imagine how much hours you're putting into doing your cosplays and booking all these cons, like the ones who do like the year-round circuits and stuff like that. Like that's...
Yeah.
It's always been...
It's just like an immense amount of pressure to just, always be putting out content and always making things and filming things and doing photo shoots, and it's it's just not for me. But I really admire the people who do it and put that work into it and make it work for them, because it seems like a pretty glamorous life, being social media famous and basically being paid to do your hobby, but it is like a ton of work.
Absolutely, and I think that's what a lot of people don't understand. On the content creator side of things, like, I'm doing it on top of a full-time job, and, like, it's so much work where I'm just like, even if I didn't have the full-time job, that would just mean that I would be spending probably just as much time as I'm putting into a full-time job and content creating on just content creating, basically, like, having to do a video every day, essentially, or whatever, and just having to keep that demand and editing and all that stuff, and, like, I would say that the cosplay parallel would be like making sure your next costume's something kind of everyone wants to see. Like, it has to be that next thing of what is, either whether it's keeping up with trends or doing something that your fan base is into. It's kind of like that with videos of being like, all right, well, what's the next important video got to be that's going to be like either current or like something people want to see. So doing your hobby as a living is always one of those things where I think people really underestimate how much work it still is, even if you like what you're doing.
Yeah.
Like,
and then eventually the burnout.
Yeah, then
there's
eventually
the risk of the burnout.
The risk of the burnout, that's true.
Yeah, it's just like,
remember
when
and I mean, like, you're self-employed, so, if you get sick or you have to take a day off, that's, 24 hours that you're not making content and not making something that your followers are demanding.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. No, one of the streamers and podcasters I follow closely, Pat from Castle Super Beast, he had his internet go down for like a week, and he was basically like, obviously, I have, good amount put away, I have enough to live off of for a while, but he goes, that's still a week, like, worth of, X amount of income that I'm used to making that is just gone now. All because my job relies on a reliable internet connection, which ceased to exist for a week. So that's a whole week worth of stuff that's just gone now. And that's the thing. And with stuff like being a social media darling or internet personality of any sort is sometimes that's all it takes for some people to fall and forget about you. Like, the world is so fast-paced of social media that, you come and go as a popular one. And so... it's really scary to kind of go down for that long. That's a long amount of time for someone that has a constant presence. Yeah. So, but yeah, moving along to that, Favorite video games lately? Obviously, been very busy, but have you been able to find time to play any video games lately that you've been really digging?
Well, I'm actually on like my 3rd playthrough of Persona 5.
Good taste.
Actually, okay, funny story. Not really funny, pretty sad, but like still kind of funny. So I borrowed my friend's disc back when I was living in Michigan, and I did like 2 playthroughs. Because I had no idea what the fuck I was doing the first time around. I like forgot to get a girlfriend. I didn't know that like the black market thing was a thing. Like there's just so many things I missed. So like whatever. I did a 2nd playthrough. Was still an idiot. Completely just forgot that you could use Chihaya, the fortune teller, to like level up your other confidence. So I was just like, I don't know. I really wanted to summon Saint Nail, right? Mm-hmm. He's like big and a badass, and I was like, I want to get the ultimate persona. But then I had to max all of my confidence. I was like, oh my god, this is going to take forever.
It does.
But then I had to move to California, and so I had to give my friend his disc back. I was like, okay, no big deal. I'm just going to buy the digital version. But PS4 does this dumb thing where you can't have a like disc version and a digital version on the same device.
That.
Yeah,
that's annoying.
It's stupid. Yeah. It registers it as a different DRM, all that BS. Mm-hmm.
I was like trying to figure out how to delete the disc without deleting the data.
Yeah, very
and
important.
And of course, I accidentally deleted the data instead of the disc.
Oh god!
Oh no!
For people who don't have a PS4, it's this really stupid thing where you go to the disc and you have to press. There's like this teeny tiny little options button in the corner of the controller, and apparently you're supposed to press the options button, and it brings you like this drop down list where you can delete the disc. I'm like, how are people supposed to know that? Why don't you just like press the X button like a normal person?
Yeah.
Like that makes so much more sense. So I was like, whatever. I'm gonna play it again. Like I know what I'm doing this time, so it'll go faster. I'm gonna just like run through and skip all the cutscenes. Mm-hmm. So yeah, that's where I'm at right now.
There you go. Was it your first Persona experience, or your first time in Persona 5 and you just kind of mismanaged your first few runs?
It was my first time playing a Persona game.
Okay.
So I kind of like watched my friend play Persona 3, but this was back in like middle school.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But that was the first time I'd heard of Persona, and I just like never got into the games.
Right.
But all of my friends were like super obsessed with Persona 5, so I was like, okay, I gotta play it,
Yeah.
And I'm glad I did. I really liked the game.
Good.
So.
Good. Yeah, no, it's really good. It is definitely... It's a lot of people's first Persona. I think Persona 5 was probably the first one to really break the mainstream market because PlayStation did market the hell out of it, which was lacking from 4 and 3 for sure. And a lot of people I know that even like Persona never played 1 or 2.
Which is even weird because Persona 3 for a lot of people were their first introduction to Persona, but it was still a very niche thing.
Yeah, absolutely. Very niche.
But if Persona 5 is your first one, good luck playing the other ones. It's so hard.
Yeah, it's hard to go back. We've had this conversation on previous podcast episodes about some series that once you've played the latest entry, you can't really go backwards because you lose so many quality of life things. As fantastic as 4 and 3 definitely are, especially the definitive editions of each one, good luck playing those because there are going to be bits of frustration you're definitely going to experience trying to play that after playing 5 because 5 is just so perfectly put together.
I absolutely love what they did with the social link system.
Yeah, it's all streamlined so well.
Yeah, like you get perks for it and stuff. Like you don't get that shit in the other games.
Yeah, no, definitely.
You just get to be their friends. I know that sounds shitty talking about it.
Yeah, I know. For those who've never played Persona, all this sounds really convoluted and dumb, but Persona 5 is really good. I mean, once people play it, they really understand, I think, why Persona kind of was that revered series in the underground for a while, especially when it comes to the music. I think that...
Oh, yeah. I love the music. Especially, I don't even know the name of the songs, but the one that plays when you go into the palace, like, on the day that you're supposed to get the treasure... It's like, oh my god, it gets me going every time.
Yeah, no, Persona is just known for a fantastic soundtrack.
I think that was Life Will Change.
Life Will Change? Okay,
I believe that's the song.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, Shoji Meguro is such a really great composer. Like, I think hands down, he's probably one of the best contemporary composers.
Absolutely,
right now.
Absolutely, and I will definitely.
I would also recommend check out the soundtrack for Catherine if you can.
Oh, Catherine's super good too.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, yeah.
That game itself is hard to recommend because it's a little weird and sometimes very frustrating puzzle game. Like, Full Body Edition dropped for PS4, so thankfully it's a little easier to get now if you're playing on PlayStation anyways.
I think it's on sale right now.
It's on sale right now also, but the game itself is a little annoying sometimes, but the visuals are cool. It's an definitely interesting story, and then the music is fantastic, of course. But yeah, one thing I will speak to the thing of PlayStation kind of always being kind of convoluted when it comes to some of their options menu and stuff like that, and just the way their DRM and systems work. Here's how your exact situation, if Persona was on Xbox, so a game in general, Xbox, this is how it would go down. Because this is what I used to do to kind of, when I was trying a game and I was going to buy it digitally, I would borrow the disc from a friend, install the game onto my Xbox, then buy the digital version because it uses the same data and just unlocks it with the digital key instead of having to delete the game from the disc install and then reinstalling it digitally. It actually lets you do what you were hoping you were able to do, Luca. It actually lets you do on Xbox, which is one of those things where it's funny. PlayStation has the games, Xbox has like the better tech design, and it's just being held hostage on each platform, basically.
Yeah, actually, my experience with that was I bought the physical for Destiny 2. You get the stupid collector shit.
Yeah.
And I think there was that 1 month Destiny 2, the base
free.
Game was free. Yeah, so I was just like, hell yeah, convenience.
Yeah,
so I downloaded that, and they're just like, you can't install this, you already got the disc version.
And it's like, well, why? But just let me have it so I don't need to put the disc in there ever again.
Yeah.
That's like all I want you to do.
Yep, and so I deleted that data and then installed or downloaded and installed the digital one. But now any of that special, like, collector stuff that I had from the physical one, guess what? I don't get access to that.
What? That makes even less sense because that should be account linked.
Because it's just like, oh, you don't have the collector thingy, and I'm like, that's bullshit because I do. I got the fucking box in right here.
Yeah, that's a bit weird. Like I said, I mean, I'm more of a PlayStation person, but I gotta ding them when it comes to stuff like that. Yeah. They do not know how to do stuff. I don't know why. I don't know if their team is just. I don't know, but it's just weird, and it's the whole thing it's the whole thing we've had the conversation before about the crossplay thing. You know, it's like they try to make all the excuses in the world, but I think PlayStation just really doesn't know how to crossplay. I think that's why they are very opposed to it. Yeah, I just think but it's funny because Xbox a few years ago literally gave them the netcoding required at the time, and it was just like, well, if you guys ever want to play with us, like, here's, like, actually all the homework done. And they, like, crumpled and threw it away, I guess, because then when they were, pressured into doing crossplay, they were just like, yeah, whatever. I just remember the funniest story with that was with Fortnite, when Fortnite was announcing crossplay with everything but PlayStation, essentially, and PlayStation kind of had to explain themselves, and PlayStation was just like, well, why would you want to play all those platforms together when you could play on the best platform for Fortnite, PlayStation, which had objectively the worst connection, ping times, and the glitchiest version of Fortnite. So it was objectively the worst version of Fortnite is on PlayStation. So it was just funny how that was their big excuse, but it was actually just a big, literally a big excuse because it was actually the worst version.
Another thing that was so awkward with that, too, is that you can cross-save between PC and PS4.
Correct.
Which is the weirdest shit ever, but you can't play.
Yeah, PlayStation's weird about that. Then with Destiny 2, PlayStation was the last one to sign the cross-play agreement, like literally the week before it was announced. They were basically like, we're announcing crossplay next week between all versions of Destiny 2. Are you in or are you out? And they're basically like, I guess. Yeah. And it was just like, why are you so scared? You're the strongest selling console platform. Yeah. I don't think playing with Xbox and PC, because not really with Switch that much, but playing with Xbox and PC is really going to kill you. Yeah. Everyone who's loyal to PlayStation has been loyal to PlayStation in very few conversions. The biggest conversion I ever saw was people go from PS2 to Xbox 360. But guess what? A lot of people either ended up getting a PS3 anyways eventually, or went from 360 to PS4.
Yeah.
So there was just that one generation of kind of like, because to be fair, Xbox 360 did have the stronger beginnings, but PlayStation 3 had the stronger ending. But like, it's one of those things where that was the only time I saw teams change, but I don't think, especially nowadays, I don't see that PlayStation being under threat if they do crossplay.
Yeah, because I mean, like, PS4, like, it still has the software. Like, Xbox One still doesn't have Bloodborne.
Yeah.
So
yeah, exactly. PlayStation still has objectively more exclusive games than Xbox by a landslide. So, it's weird. It's weird. They're very, very odd about it, and we'll just never really know, because they don't want to address it. They are always, like, making excuses, so they just don't want to talk about it. But, yeah, there's that.
I don't know the struggles that you guys are feeling with PS4.
Right?
Oh, yeah.
So, aside
Yes, the one Xbox.
the one Xbox person in the corner over there.
I love my Xbox.
No, but that's
Sitting
good.
in their
So
Xbox.
nice.
Like I said, platform of your choice, you know.
Yeah.
Some people like games, some people like Xbox. So with
Dang.
so with
Okay.
I mean, it plays Blu-rays pretty well.
yeah,
Right.
it plays really, pretty well. So with we talked about Persona obviously being a great soundtrack. What other video game or video games, can be plural, what soundtracks in your life has really stuck with you that you just absolutely love? If someone goes, tell me a great video game soundtrack to check out, that just like one of the first ones that shoots to mind, of any other than Persona.
Final Fantasy X, probably.
It's a good
That's
one.
a good one.
It's a good one. Nobuo Uematsu in general.
Yeah.
Just,
Yeah, any specific
Honestly,
track?
usually game soundtracks don't tend to stick out to me that much.
okay.
Even ones that, other people rave about. Like, I think Undertale was a big one.
That one was really good too. That
And
was a
I
great
like
song.
I like the Undertale songs, but I felt like maybe it was a little overhyped.
Thank you.
And to be honest, I didn't like the Nier soundtrack all that much. It didn't really.
That's it.
Maybe it
Cancel
just
this
wasn't my
fucking
style.
podcast right now.
Josh and I both died on the inside. We both died on the inside. But I'm glad you're honest about it. Again, no, but you're right though. But sometimes video game soundtracks aren't for everybody. But Josh was wondering, any particular pieces on the FF10 soundtrack that you really like? I mean, other than liking it as a whole, any particular songs stick out to you?
To Xanarkand will always
Bingo.
hold a special place in my heart.
That is a really, really good
I
one.
guess that's fine.
Yeah,
To Xanarkand's a really good one.
To Xanarkand's awesome. That's
yeah.
one of the staples that he keeps. Like, even the concerts to this day, you'll at least hear Xanarkand whenever they do those.
Yeah, that's a really good one.
Oh, it gives me goosebumps when I hear it live.
Yeah, it's really good.
And it's been years. I once went to one of those Distant Worlds concerts. I think it was Houston. I forgot how long ago it was. But I would really like to catch one of those again if I can.
They're pretty cool.
Yeah, I think Noel's already been to like 2 of
I think
them,
so. I would definitely like to see also Black Mages in concert. To see Nobuo Uematsu actually rocking it with a metal band.
That'd be sick as fuck.
Because they're iterations of everything. Even the ones that are already more rock and roll oriented, he makes them even more like metal, and it's really, really cool.
Well, I mean, yeah, like Skies Above, which
Skies
is pretty
Above,
much
yep.
To Xanarkand, but then just like made it like a freaking like rock opera song.
Yeah,
pretty
basically,
much.
it's
Like,
really,
holy
really cool.
shit. Yeah, that song's epic as fuck. So I would recommend checking out that if you haven't.
Yeah, that's a really good one too.
Yeah. I think Seymour's boss battle.
Seymour's boss battle
That's
is very cool.
one of the like
Seymour's such a dickhead.
really good one. Oh yeah, Seymour's a dick.
I don't know what it is about him. He's like, I don't know. I think it's because like the graphics were bad in the original one, but like he just always looked like he had some kind of like weird pot belly going on.
Yes,
he did.
Yeah, he did.
It made me so uncomfortable as a kid.
Yeah. It was kind of Like, weren't there some people who, I don't know, maybe they were just swooning at his, like, power or authority, I guess, but...
Whatever.
He had, like, that air about him, just like,
Yeah.
that weird gut's a little bit weird, bro.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, it's weird. I'm glad I'm not the only one.
No, we know. We all noticed it, and we still don't know to this day. It's not a tumor. That's all.
And you had to do it in the Seymour
But
voice?
they had to do it.
It's not a tumor.
It's not a tumor. I think the only thing that with Final Fantasy X, the only thing that I like criticized when I was younger and I was still judging video games back then was the whole thing with sin being like the I was just like, that's so on the nose to call it sin. Sin is the root of our lives.
Yeah.
Sin is the big. It's like, oh my god, you just wanted to be able to say all those lines with sin.
I did like the twist regarding like why sin exists.
I'm not putting in another spoiler
all
warning.
that stuff. Yeah, okay, yeah, that's fine. You gotta know there's a twist somewhere.
No, I know, it's an old game. I forgot. I don't know what the universal statute of limitations is for video games, but it's probably past the statute of limitations.
I think usually people will give it a decade, and it's well over.
It's well over a decade.
Past that.
But anyways, there's a twist. We'll let you guys should still play it.
I will say one of my criticisms is the final boss. It's garbage.
That was so
like,
bad.
Yeah, so much build up
really
just for this thing. I don't even know if I can like describe how I describe it.
Mm-hmm.
If we're gonna go to spoilers, but just cast Doom.
Just cast Doom.
That's all I did. I just used Riku to cast Doom, and then GG's.
And that's pretty much that.
Oh my god, that's so funny.
Yeah.
Like, I was like, hey, Riku, use your limit break, use these items, cast Doom, and then just wait.
And just wait. That's
and
it.
You win.
And you win. It's really stupid, actually. It's very anticlimactic.
Yes,
I just think of the picture of that one meme with Pam from The Office. And it's the same picture meme, and it's just like the fight from X the anime, and then the ending of the final boss of Final Fantasy X it's the same picture. And that's basically anticlimactic at its parallels. So there's that, but yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And let's see.
Good old Final Fantasy X.
Yeah, good old Final Fantasy X though. Final Fantasy X is really good.
Yeah.
So there's that. Speaking of Final Fantasy, are you on or not on the hype train for Final Fantasy VII Remake? Is that something that appeals to you, or something where you're just
I'm
like...
hella on. Actually, I never played the original game.
Okay.
But I was like... I watched Advent Children, and I loved it.
Okay.
I was like, wow, this is so fucking cool, like middle school me, right? I was like, these graphics are amazing.
Yeah.
I mean, the graphics were like subpar, but like for back then, it was amazing.
Yeah.
And I really want to revamp my Reno cosplay for the remake.
Hell yeah.
Nice.
And maybe like find a squad of Turk cosplay.
That would be really cool. The Turks are always...
That would be awesome.
That would be really cool. Yeah, one thing I will say is, since you never had like a proper playthrough of FF7 before, I think that this one is going to be a easier one to get into because of the way video games have moved, because I played it once when it was new, I played it again a few years ago, and then I recently replayed it again on Switch. And one thing I will say is that the games... classic JRPG style RPGs are really hard to play now when you get used to a lot of games with luxury, like quality of life changes of just like maybe not always turn-based combat, maybe be able to see the enemy before you trigger a fight with them, maybe not just run into a fight every 30 seconds when you're kind of just trying to get past the field, or you forgot to get a thing of materia and you run from 20 battles or fight 20 battles to go to one side of the map to pick up materia. Because I think that Final Fantasy 15's combat was like fine.
Oh yeah.
And apparently they're going to be combining that real time in quotes because it was still on some sort of turn-based gauge, with ATB so they're going to do a weird hybrid of like classic Final Fantasy 7 turn-based with the modernization of 15's combat. So, we'll see. But other than that, very pretty looking. I think the game's going to be really cool. I think the meme of Robert Downey Jr.'s Tropic Thunder character as Barrett is very accurate to the English voice acting. And, but yeah, when I saw that meme, I died laughing. I was just like, this is...
I will say, it is a little sad, because I mean, like...
It's a little...
Like, I mean, you had 13 with Zaz.
Yes.
I thought that was a
fine.
good job. Yeah. And then now this.
Yeah, not the best thing. I wouldn't say, like, it was the worst thing I've ever heard in my life, but it was a little awkward when I remember the first trailer where you hear the English voice acting, and he's just literally doing the Robert Downey Jr., like, blaxploitation voice, and I'm just like... Ooh, that's a bit much. That's a bit much. But yeah, overall though, very excited, very interesting to see, because they seem to have geared, because of the demand and hype, they seem to have really changed the idea of what they're going to do with it. Because when they originally announced it, God, 10 years ago, like, not 10 years ago, it's like more like, something like 5 or 6 years ago.
It feels almost
It's been like, it's been a while still, since it's been about 5 or 6 years. I forgot when I made my reaction video, where I was joking about, when they revealed it, and I joked about it being not Shenmue 3, which ended up being awful, because Shenmue 3 is awful, but we'll talk about that later. When I remember when they announced it, back then, the whole idea was basically going to be, it was going to be Dragon Ball Super for Final Fantasy VII, where they were just going to Dragon Ball Super, Dragon Ball Kai for Final Fantasy VII, where they were just going to kind of do the highlights, the hype moments, and basically make an 8-hour game out of a fucking 80-hour game. It was essentially the idea, but a lot of people, including myself, expressed concern over the experience of Final Fantasy VII being the whole package and not just Cloud versus Sephiroth, which a lot of people that never played Final Fantasy VII don't realize Cloud versus Sephiroth is a very minor part of the main story. Yeah. It's actually a passing glance in the big scheme of things. It's a plot point for sure, but it's not. Advent Children and then media and marketing in general turned it into like the main thing. Yeah. But originally, in OG Final Fantasy VII, Sephiroth versus Cloud is not really the main focus. And a lot of people just kind of expressed their concerns with it being too watered down and people not getting what made Final Fantasy VII so special. So now what they've kind of recently announced with the plans is that they're going to do it in parts, and it went from being a trilogy, a 3-parter, to an unknown amount of parts now. The unfortunate thing with that is we do not know now if I will be 80 by the time it wraps up, because with the amount of legwork they're putting in for the graphics and trying to include everything, which is the plan as of the moment, is insane. Because... Go ahead, what's up?
I was going to say, another thing to be considered or concerned about is we're about to enter a new generation of console.
Right, it's going to do a weird cross thing where it's going to start on PS4 and then end on PS5, or maybe even under PS6, depending on how long they go. So with that being the case, I applaud the ambitiousness, and I do like the fact that they're almost acquiescing to like what I wanted, but at the same, and a lot of people, not just me, but at the same time, I'm also a little worried because when is this going to end? Because they have kind of confirmed that this part that's dropping in February is going to be part 1, and you are not even going to leave Midgar. For those who haven't played the original game or don't really Midgar is like the first tenth of the game.
Yeah.
Midgar is like the intro for most video games is Midgar.
I feel like the first level of KOTOR is like comparable to Midgar.
Basically, if you play KOTOR, the whole first level, that huge experience is like Midgar. And this whole thing, this 80 to 100 gig download, they're trying to fit it on a disc, I believe, so it should be about 80 gigs or so. This huge 80 gig download, this like Red Dead Redemption 2 GTA 5 size download is going to be the beginning, the very beginning of Final Fantasy VII now. Graphically, of course, that's going to take a lot of that space. Half of that is probably just graphics alone, because in very square fashion, they're just flexing that tech.
Oh, yeah.
However, they seem to be really wanting to flesh it out and it's crazy because the reason I'm so excited and my volume is just like shot through the roof at this moment is just thinking about it. It's what I've always wanted. I've always wanted, like, exploring the little bit of time you spend in Midgar Final Fantasy VII is still one of my favorite moments to date of any video game moment. Like when you go in the little restaurant and you order like Korean barbecue or sushi or whatever's on the menu, like I just remember like how immersive that was to me back in middle school, and I was just like, whoa, you can go in little buildings, like you can go in the bar, and you can go in the, that's obviously seems so minor now because of how many open world games they are. Yeah. So it seems like they're really gonna have that linear side of it, but then probably make it this living city of like exploration and kind of probably even more additional side quests that you can do. So it's gonna be very, very interesting. I'm very curious how fleshed out it's going to be, and February for me cannot come soon enough because I am very much anticipating it. Of course, February is going to be very, very busy because I'm going to have to do first impressions or reviews of Final Fantasy VII Part 1 of X amount, Doom Eternal, Animal Crossing, and Cyberpunk are all going to be within weeks of each other, if not days of each other, or the same day, depending on the release dates. Doom Eternal and Animal Crossing are the exact same day, so there's that. Lots of games coming out, so 2020 is going to be hype, and Final Fantasy VII should be good. So, yeah, I was just curious about that based off your Final Fantasy X curiosity. There's that. But that was a left turn. Mm-hmm. So while we get into that, I think that's a good time to go. Is there anything you want to plug? Any appearances coming up in recent time that you want to kind of mention to anybody listening that they might want to check you out or see you at?
Not really. I'm kind of like going on the, not on the down low, but, you know, I'm chilling out for the moment, saving up money. But if they want to check me out on Instagram, it's Lucaplex, Lucaplex. And I'll probably be at, I'm planning to be at Anime LA and Fanime, because I'll be volunteering there, so I don't know how much time I'll have to, like, actually hang out and cosplay and stuff, but I should definitely be at those two conventions.
Nice.
All right, awesome. Mr. Josh, where can everybody find you at?
Twitter and Instagram, that is at Joshiro Joestar. YouTube at ShiroPlay5.
Miss Mallory?
Oh, you can find me on Instagram.
You wake up now.
I know. It's been a long week, guys.
You wake up. She's like, all this PlayStation talk. I don't hear this nonsense.
You can find me at Instagram at awesome_Mally. I almost messed it up again. And that's about it.
Good job. And then you can find all my stuff at ZD Rocker at most places. You can find all the other stuff I do aside the podcast at SlimAsianEntertainment.com. The podcast itself at DisconnectedCast.com. As well as checking out an app called Radio Public. Radio Public is, this is ad roll, by the way, for those of you who want that open disclaimer. This is the ad roll. The halfway point ad roll. Radio Public is an app on iOS and Android where you can listen to your favorite podcasters and support them at the same time. Go figure. Some people like to get paid to do what they like, as we talked about earlier. So you can go ahead and check that out. Radio Public isn't tired of all these improv ad rolls and not doing a scripted one, but we don't want to do a scripted one. And didn't say we had to do a scripted one, so too bad. All right, so anyways, you can check that out on Android and iOS. Again, it's called Radio Public, and you can check out all your favorite podcasts, including our own, on there. So there's
super easy to use, guys.
Very easy to use. It's like you just download it, make an account, and listen and look for, probably look for them first.
You should probably
and then
search,
listen.
But I mean,
you can do that.
You can. It's very easy.
So thank you, Radio Public. There's that. All right. So getting into the video game news, Overwatch 2 kind of clarified what's going on with that, kind of not. So kind of like piecing together stuff from BlizzCon. We kind of talked about how what the hell is Overwatch 2 then if everything's going to kind of be in Overwatch 1. Yeah. So the new characters, the maps, and the multiplayer stuff seems to still be a part of Overwatch 1 as well. But like the single player stuff and a few of the other modes are going to be locked to Overwatch 2. Fuck Blizzard, liberate Hong Kong. All right, so Half-Life. What was I say? Now you don't have to weigh in on this if you don't want to, Luca. Just in case you don't want to get put in the hot seat, you can just say pass. But the whole thing with Blizzard. Are you a big Blizzard fan, or not so much, or not anymore?
Not really. Okay. I played Overwatch for I don't know, maybe a year, and then I gave up. So. Yeah.
Like many a people. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I know. It's one of those things where, Blizzard's games, I've played them, I've enjoyed them, I played them fairly close up to the whole controversy they had with Blitzchung and Hong Kong and all that stuff that pretty much everyone's kind of heard about. But this just makes it that much harder to care about something I already kind of gave, a little crap about. Yeah. But it's just sad, though, because I did have a lot of fun with Overwatch. Overwatch did last me a couple of years of fun before I got tired of it, and, kind of the mishandling of the way they did the community and everything like that was kind of bad. But, I don't know. It's just one of those things where... we beat that dead horse already, but it's just one of those things where it's just the thing that bothers me the most about it, going away from Blizzard and more so Blizzard supporters that I'm going to kind of dig into it right now, is the fact that everyone bought the half-assed response, the half-assed apology. Yeah. You can't apologize for something and be actively doing it at the same time and call that an apology. Sorry, I'm stabbing you. It's they kept using terms like, we acted too fast. we really regret it, stuff like that. But it's like, if you really regret it, then you would lift the suspension.
Yeah.
It's like, maybe don't, you're not sorry, stop it. And like I said, the thing that just really, like, irked me, and I'm glad a few other people noticed it in the apology section, was the fact that he was wearing the Pride Blizzard pin, the LBGT, Q plus, like, pin, and it was just he was so manufactured to apologize and pander that it was just really uncomfortable to, like, watch him not address anything, and then also be like, look, guys, I'm open. I'm an open-minded guy. I'm on your side. And it's like, no, you're still the enemy. You're still the corporate. You're still part of the corporate trash. Stop it.
And then he makes that, like, cringy joke about, like, you guys were expressing your voices earlier outside.
Yeah, I know.
Because y'all can't ban them.
Yeah,
y'all can't suspend them.
Yeah, he just tried to be Todd Howard, and it was just really
it was a little cringy.
It was overly done. But yeah. Speaking of corporate non-apology, no, I'm just joking. What was I going to say? New Half-Life game was announced, and I have to say that I am on the side of things that find it really kind of like backhanded of Valve to kind of do what they did, where, for those who don't know, Half-Life Alyx, I believe it was Alyx, I believe is how it was spelled. Half-Life Alyx was announced, and the biggest issues I have with it is, one, it's a VR game, and the problem with doing a very anticipated game, but then chaining it to a platform that you have a direct stake in to try to bolster your numbers that Epic Games has been taking away from you with the whole Epic versus Steam stuff. A bit of a dickish move, because it just kind of like, I think Conrad Zimmerman from Jimquisition made a very interesting statement that I agreed with, where he was basically like, this is Diablo Immortal all over again. Where their response to the whole thing was, come on guys, don't you guys have VR headsets?
Oh jeez.
And it's just like,
I don't have a VR
headset. Like, that's expensive and not something everyone's all into. I tried VR on several occasions, I've tried the Vive, I tried the Oculus, I tried the PSVR, and they're fine, but it's not something I can really get into, because one, it's just not something anyone I know has been really able to play for too long without like getting very exhausted, or it getting draining physically or mentally. And then on top of that, again, it's just all about accessibility. A lot of people really wanted to play this new game, and then now it's locked behind a platform.
Yeah, to me, it still seems like more of a novelty idea.
Yeah, it still is. I would say it's still, like, even though it's been around for a while now, I still consider it early adopter phase.
Yeah, like, even though I mean, I'm fairly certain my computer might be able to run it.
Probably could.
I really haven't checked, but I don't see myself doing that. Maybe something casual like Tetris Effect in VR looks really neat. It's pretty
badass.
Yeah, and that's
but at least it doesn't. You don't need it to play Tetris Effect.
Yeah,
that's what I like.
Exactly. And right now, to me, it's just one of those like, oh, I'm at PAX and don't really have anything to do. Oh, they have some VR booths.
Yeah,
let me check out.
I don't have VR at home. Let's check it out.
Yeah, it's like, so to me, it still seems like such a novelty thing. Yeah, that is a bit strange.
What about you, Luca? Into the VR thing? Not so much.
Not really. Like, there's some things that I feel like I would like to play. Like, that Beat Saber game looks really fun.
That does look pretty fun.
I was, like, always really into, like, DDR and, like, rhythm games when I was younger.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, DDR's fun.
But, yeah, like you said, it's sort of, like, a novelty thing. Like, I'm like, it's cool, but I'm not going to spend money on it.
It's still at that phase where it is cheaper, but not cheap.
I feel like it would suck if, like, a game I was really anticipating, especially one that was part of a series, came out on this, somewhat
for sure.
niche platform.
Like, how many people have been waiting for Half-Life 3? And I don't even know if this
I was going to say, thank you, Josh,
that's not
because time for part 2 of the problem.
Ooh.
The anticipated thing for Half-Life was getting Episode 3, the conclusion to the long-running trilogy, to finally wrap the story up. This isn't even that. This is a spin-off VR game that's coming out. After all this wait, you wait... God, how long has it been since Half-Life 2? Jeez, a long time.
Long-ass time.
Or Episode 2, rather. Half-Life 2, Episode 2.
I mean, I think the first time I heard of it was, like, Orange Box, back on, like, 360.
And that was the port of it, which means it was even out before that. So, with that being the case, that, for those that know, a lot of people were waiting, God knows how long. And then the announcement is, it's more Half-Life, not the conclusion you've been waiting 15 plus years for. I just felt that was also really kind of... The reception's been mixed. You have the non-VR adopting people kind of like being like, kind of on where we're kind of going for it, where we're just like, it's still kind of weird that they're forcing, that's going to be forced on this platform, a game that has been, it's not a new IP or anything, it's just been a really, a new Half-Life game has been wanted. Then there's the party of people who are like, well, I don't mind that it's on VR, I just hate the fact that it's not episode 3 that I wanted for so friggin' long. That's another thing, because it does suck to wait that long and not even get the proper wrap-up.
Yeah.
It looks good, though. I mean, it looks fine. Seeing Half-Life in something beyond Source Engine 2.0 is kind of cool to see. But, you know what I mean? But, it's just one of those things where it's really hard to get hyped about just because of, again, the kind of convolutedness of it, and then, again, the fact that it isn't quite the Half-Life everyone has been asking for. So it's like a weird half-step where people are like, it's more Half-Life. Not, I mean, it is, but it's just like,
Half-Life not.
It is Half-Life not. But, I don't know, that really does suck, though, but, of course, I think it's the Vive that Steam has a stake in, or
no,
is it
the
Oculus? It's the Oculus,
yeah.
right? Okay, Oculus.
Vive is HTC.
Vive is HTC. And then, of course, there's the whole corporate thing of pushing their own peripheral that they have a complete stake in as obviously being a move to make money.
Yeah, that's a little sketchy.
Yeah. It just seems a little too obvious, like too ham-fisted that's obviously what they're doing and hiding behind a Half-Life game.
Yeah, because they already have an edge where it could be a Steam exclusive.
Absolutely.
But now you're going to make it Oculus exclusive.
I think I forgot what podcast I was listening to, but they said something that I definitely found a curious proposition is... Perhaps the reason Valve just doesn't do games anymore is that they've fallen behind the times so hard, they don't know how to make a game people want anymore, per se. Mm-hmm. To which I heard a very interesting proposition, which is, maybe it's time to outsource it to another studio.
Yeah.
Maybe give it to Insomniac. Maybe give it to, someone who won't fuck it up that isn't EA or something like that. Maybe give it to a competent studio, license it out. You're still going to get the big bucks. It's still your IP.
Yeah.
But give it to a team who can deliver something maybe people want, which is a modern shooter that doesn't abandon what made Half-Life appealing.
Yeah.
So, it may be that time, but of course, at this point, Steam really has to play their game well because the whole Epic Games exclusive thing hasn't necessarily been dire to them, but it has stolen quite a bit of money out of their pockets, where people are kind of not, PC gamers in general are not wanting to wait for stuff to come out on Steam a year later, so they are buying it on Epic Games Store and just caving in, even though the store is not well put together. I want to play Outer Worlds now. It's a good game. I want to play, Outer Wilds. I want to play whatever now and not wait. Untitled Goose Game, I think, is also an Epic Games exclusive on PC. Mm-hmm. So stuff like that, so people are not wanting to wait anymore. And as much as people were gung-ho about that at first, people are just starting to cave because, especially a game like Outer Wilds, that is a game that is best played going in blind. And as that game has kind of sat on the market, if you pay attention to that community or just social media that talks about that in general, it started to get a little more and more revealed and spoiled over time, as many things do. And because of that, people were like, all right, fuck it, I'm caving. I'm getting it on Epic because I want to experience this blind game, like this game that is best played on a blind playthrough. And I do not want to get, any big reveals spoiled and stuff like that. So it's a bit of a shame, but it's just one of those things where I think at this point, Valve is just grasping for straws, and Half-Life was just like kind of how Blizzard, when all the obvious announcements at their thing with BlizzCon, Diablo 4, Overwatch, everything everyone knew was going to be announced, Valve was like, well, what else do we got? Even though at this point, I think a lot of people would probably even care more about a new Left 4 Dead than they would a not Episode 3 Half-Life. But we'll see. That may be the next announcement that they have.
I think people still play Left 4 Dead, too.
People still do.
Yeah,
my friend and I were
do.
just playing Left 4 Dead 2 the other day on
I still love that game.
So, yeah.
Just play Killing Floor.
Killing Floor was really good.
Killing Floor 2 was fun. Even though I haven't played it in a long time, but man, that game was fun.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I never really got too into Left 4 Dead, but I do like how it does have that motif where, it's like a horror film or something like that.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So I like that.
It's really cool.
Anyways.
Yeah. Luca, any love for Valve, or not really? Never really got into their games that much?
Yeah, I never really got into it. They look cool, though.
Yeah, it's one of those things where they're definitely very iconic. I mean, Left 4 Dead cosplay and Half-Life cosplay Portal has all been in the scene multiple times. You still see them at conventions now. So obviously they have their beloved characters and stuff like that, and they're definitely beloved franchises. But yeah, they're definitely also kind of culty niche in a way too, in their own way. So there's that. Animal Crossing Mobile introduced the new season pass. You get pay to play pass you can buy. I mean, Animal Crossing Mobile was already kind of Happy Camp, or whatever the hell it's called. It was already kind of a bad game to begin with, and then now they're just padding it out with microtransactions. So like so you can pay $5 a month to play Apple Arcade if you have an iOS device, which is pretty much gives you access to a lot of like full-on games. Like, I mean, you're still playing them on a mobile screen unless you're going to Bluetooth a controller or whatever. But it's not a bad... It's like the Xbox Games Pass for Apple. Kind of cool, $5 a month. Not a bad price point. Animal Crossing's $8 a month pass is expensive, first of all. $8 a month to play a goddamn bad version of Animal Crossing. And then on top of that, all it really does is... You get to choose a villager to play the game for you, essentially, because the game has become very demandy, where you want to check in every hour or every few hours or so to collect your resources, or else they'll get stuck and then it won't start generating resources until you clear the ones that are sitting there already. So say that this creates 10 bells an hour. Well, if you don't collect the 10 bells that are queued up there, it's not going to generate any more bells until you collect that, then clear it out. So it started to make it very needy, which the game did not launch like that. Well, now with the pass, you can have one of your villagers collect those bells for you, so it can continuously generate, even if you don't have time to play the game at the moment. The other thing is, you get access to 5 quote-unquote fortune cookies a month. It's just a loot box. It's all a loot box that you can get in-game items that do fuck all in the game. And, that's the Animal Crossing, whatever the hell they call that cringe pass.
Pocket Camp.
Pocket Camp.
I was gonna say,
I played it when it first came out.
Yeah, it's even worse somehow.
Like, I knew it existed, but I never messed around with it. But when you were explaining it to me, it kind of made me, I don't know why, but it made me think of that stupid cookie clicker game. Because eventually you could get it automated. Yeah. Right? So now you're just doing that. You're paying money
to just play a cookie clicker game for you.
Yeah. Yeah.
So we've talked about... Why? So we talked about... Now we just talked about...
That just sounds like cookie clicker with extra steps.
So, and this is the thing...
and money.
Yeah.
So this is the thing where Jim Sterling made a very good point of why this is worrisome. Because the knee-jerk reaction is, well, I don't play mobile games, I don't give a shit, right? But the fact that Animal Crossing has those problems, then we talked about the Mario Kart issues last time with the Mario Kart World Tour stuff where fake online play to make you feel good and buy stuff in the game. And then, which by the way, they have a monthly pass too, which actually lets you play online for real this time, and with your friends. So that's a thing. And then you have Fire Emblem, which is probably one of the less scummier ones, but does have a clear progression ceiling where you kind of, if you're not paying anymore, you do hit a point in Fire Emblem mobile game where you're just like, this is not going anywhere now. It does get diminishing return or stuck. The biggest problem is, although they are mobile games, it's still Nintendo publishing this stuff, which means that although the Switch and everything has been, and their consoles in general, have been pretty safe havens from lacking gratuitous amounts of microtransactions, the most they go are the season passes or characters in Smash. Aside that, most Nintendo games are pretty absent of microtransactions and currencies and stuff like that, or season passes. This just shows that you're just one building removed. The same company is testing the waters of how this stuff can go down, while the mainline stuff is still free of it. So it's a little worrisome to think the same company is doing some shady testing in another room.
The impression that I get from it is that to them, maybe they're just looking at this and they're like, well, it's a mobile game. That's the norm. Right? Like,
which is what I hope.
That's how the mobile game works.
Yeah.
So that's...
Yeah, I'm crossing my fingers on that. But but he did make a really good point that if the time ever came where it does cross over into their proper games, we saw now where they tested it,
Yeah.
which was the scummy mobile market, which is where a lot of these AAA developers like 2K with their NBA, WWE games with currency in it. You know, your NBA player will be gimped unless you buy these in-game currencies.
Yeah.
Like, the fact that it looks like, you know, he was talking about how when you open up the 2K microtransaction store, the NBA 2K microtransaction store, it looks straight up like a mobile game. Like, buy this many coins for $5, buy this many coins for $99, buy this many coins for $49.99. He goes, if you were to take that menu and show somebody who knows no better that plays a lot of mobile games, they'd be like, oh, is that the new 2K mobile game? Which also exists. And he's just like, dude, it's indistinguishable almost. Like, that's where it's gotten to. So hopefully Nintendo doesn't go that route. They're still, I still champion them as the heroes of people who are staying away from microtransactions or gratuitous patching.
Say, especially with the what is it, New Horizons. I had to look up what the name was, but Animal Crossing New Horizons.
Right.
Which,
that better not be in there.
Yeah.
If that's in there, that would
Which
come
would
out
make
for
me
March.
really upset.
Oh, it got delayed to
I
March.
love-
Or it pushed to March.
I love Animal Crossing. That's when
Really
I
good.
played Pocket Camp.
I'm really excited.
I've never been like a huge Animal Crossing fan, but they're fun. Sorry.
Yeah, no, for sure. You, Luca, Animal Crossing? Yay, nay?
I used to. On the GameCube, I used to play it a lot.
Oh, the
that's
OG.
good. The OG.
Yeah, I didn't even play
The
that
OG,
one.
yeah.
Yeah.
Me, it was 3DS. Or DS, excuse me, regular DS.
Yeah,
Yeah,
my
DS.
first one was the one on the DS, and then I played the 3DS one for a while. That was,
Yep.
Actually, I think that was the first game I bought for the 3DS when I picked it up. So that was fun.
It's really good. I remember playing it with 3D for about 30 seconds, turning that shit off and being like, fuck this.
Yeah. Yeah.
Is it that bad?
It's just, the 3D on the 3DS just was not good on most games.
No.
It was just not enjoyable for long term, especially. It's like, cool, look at the depth in this. Okay, I'm tired of the depth in this. I'm turning this shit off.
It kind of gave you a headache after a while.
Yeah, if you played for a really long amount of time with 3D on, it was basically
Like,
just
my
Virtual
nephew
Boy
can
tech for the
play
now.
with 3D on, and he shows it to me, and within like 10 minutes, I'm like,
Turn that
stop
shit
that.
And
We're not doing this
and then
today.
he's just looking at you cross-eyed. What's
Yeah,
wrong?
he's like, what are you?
Oh man, that'd be great.
Yeah, 'cause I played. I think Bravely Default was one of the first games I also got, aside from Animal Crossing.
So good.
Yeah, I think I picked up Animal Crossing and then later
Bravely
got
Default.
Bravely
That's
Default,
another
and
game.
I tried it with the 3D.
And you were like, no.
It's neat at first, but yeah, after a while, I feel like I'm just staring cross-eyed
Yeah.
at this. You know,
Like, it's one of
little
those
screen.
novelty things for it.
Yeah.
It was cool, but then, yeah, no, I
The
didn't.
novelty wears off very fast.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
Very fast.
Yeah, once you start getting once the migraines kick in.
Well, and there's a reason that Pokemon almost just straight dropped it for most of the game. That only in battles, I believe, would the 3D
Yeah.
be on, and then for the rest of the game, traveling in cities, all that stuff, that shit was just all turned off automatically, whether you wanted
it
it
was
on
also
or
really
not.
bad for your eyes, too.
Yeah,
Yeah.
It basically did force you to kind of like do that thing where you're doing the depth perception thing. That's what makes it seem 3D. Is you're just tricking your brain and eyes into seeing it 3D. So yeah, I don't think that's healthy anyway. So.
It's not. It's
So
really
a lot of
bad
people I
for your
know
eyes.
didn't use it, so they don't have brain damage or not severe brain
Exactly.
damage. They have brain damage from something else.
Like, I already have bad eyesight. I don't need help getting it worse.
Oh right, I know, right?
Right.
I wear glasses already. Let's make it worse.
Yeah. Glasses Club. Let's go.
Random tidbit hinting that a new Saints Row is to be announced next year, which means it probably won't come out next year, but it'd be nice if it was like that thing where by the end of the year it'll come out.
Yeah.
Saints Row, really good franchise. The Switch port has been fixed since it got kind of dinged on reviews, the Switch port for Saints Row the Third, because the review copies that went out were a little shaky, but the retail release from when I played it and the patches they've released since, only a couple patches since, it runs pretty well. The fact that I'm playing, that's the thing that's been so phenomenal about the Switch that really has blown my mind, is the fact that I'm playing games like Saints Row the Third and The Witcher 3, these massive games, despite the graphical sacrifices, which Saints Row, again, Witcher 3 looks fine, and Saints Row the Third, because it's a last-gen game, didn't really sacrifice an insane amount graphically. Depth of field, a few, you know, stuff doesn't render as far out. If you're, like, you know, you see those videos where, like, I'm ultra maxing this on PC. Look how bad the Switch version looks. And it's just like, wow, that's a fair fight, you moron. That's not how you objectively compare things, but okay.
Right.
But yeah, no, like, you know, the Switch has honestly been that console that won me back for video games. I was just not making time for it anymore, or just, like, not wanting to like sit or bring my PS4 somewhere. I'm going to be on vacation somewhere. And I'm not going to bring my whole fucking PS4 and stuff like that. I don't know. It's just been that cool thing that reignited my love for video games, which is why I'm such a big mark for the Switch. But it'll be interesting to see. I could use a new Saints Row. I think a lot of people like the fourth one. I wasn't that big of a fan of it, but the whole it was like too zany and in outer space and there were aliens and shit, and I just found that shit kind of weird.
Yeah,
it got too crazy for me. Like Saints Row 2 was a GTA like. Saints Row 3 was GTA, but with dildo bats. Yes. So it was like a little weird, but like it got its own personality, but fun.
Part of that game.
But then the fourth one was just going to outer space. There are literally aliens walking around. You're in hover cars, and I was just like, all right, this is like a little too
seemed a bit much
on the side.
Yeah.
But a lot of other
then after
like
that, they just made a spin-off game, right?
They did that really shitty Agents of Mayhem.
Out of Hell or something?
Oh, Get Out of Hell was a spin-off that used it was kind of like that New Vegas thing almost, where it was the same engine as 4, but like a side story that took place in like the same universe. And then they did Agents of Mayhem, which was an awful multiplayer game that looked Saints Row visuals with none of the fun, iconic characters and none of the fun at all. So that was Agents of Mayhem. Yeah, go for it, Mallory. Walk out of the room right now.
Okay.
No, anyways, any Saints Row, Josh and Luca, any Saints Row experience from either of you? Whoever wants to just pipe up first, it doesn't really matter, either or.
I was going to say, there was that small moment where you and I were co-oping some of the Saints Row the Third.
It's really fun.
Yeah,
co-oping those games is fun.
Yeah, and I think that was it. I didn't really play much after that.
Mm-hmm.
But, I mean, my experience with it was funny. It was fun.
Yeah.
So, I think that was something that I kind of liked a bit more than... Because, I mean, GTA is fine, but then when they try to be, like... At least, like, with 4, they try to be, like, super real.
And 5 really tried to get deep. And I'm just like, I don't want to get deep. Like, when I'm playing like GTA 5, it's always stupid. Mm-hmm. I enjoyed all the dumb moments in it. And Saints Row, I think that's why they kind of amassed their own thing. Because at first, they were just a shameless GTA ripoff at first.
Yeah.
Even though I loved 2. 1 was not that good, but 2 was great. And then... 3, they finally found their own personality, and I wish they had focused more on cultivating that as opposed to getting too crazy.
Yeah.
I think they cultivated it too much. They left that shit in the incubator too long, and then 4 came out, and I was just like, ooh. What about you, Luca? Any Saints Row fanness?
No, I've only heard of the name, but I don't know anything about the series.
Ah, okay, so there's that. Mallory, Saints Row. Oh, yeah, you already said you did. Okay, I don't care what you have to say.
Well, whatever.
Right, so,
I played with my brother.
Joking.
We used to, he was really big into GTA, and so when Saints Row started coming out, me and him started playing it together, and I remember one time, because at that time we couldn't have we didn't have TVs in our bedroom with our game systems, because my grandparents were like, hey, you need to, like, be a part of the family.
Oh.
So we got Saints Row 3, and,
that's a family-oriented game.
Oh, yeah, because that's what you want to be.
Playing with the family.
Yeah, so we're sitting downstairs playing on our giant TV, and me and my brother are just running around beating people up with the giant purple dildo, and my grandpa walks past us, and he turns his head, and he goes, okay, go put that on the TV upstairs in Mallory's room, because no one else wants to watch this right now. And we continued just to play downstairs because we were like, we're not moving.
You guys made us play here. Now you can.
Yeah, I was like, now you get to watch us do this. Like, this is so much fun for us. It made my grandparents really had to like think about what type of games we were playing. But then again, my grandpa was like, they're getting along this time, so you guys do whatever.
Oh, the kids and their purple dildo. I remember one of the things about Saints Row that was just insane marketing was when they did the $1 million edition for Saints Row the Third. Mm-hmm. It was one only, and I forgot if it even came with the game. I think it did. It's one of those weird collector's editions. It was a $1 million edition that I believe someone from the UK bought that came with a Lamborghini, a Prius, a stealth camp, whatever, training Navy SEALs thing, a trip to NASA, and I believe time in the space shuttle, and all this stuff. The funny thing is, for $1 million, despite the fact it's $1 million, the value itself was actually pretty good, because when you added all that stuff, it well exceeded $1 million. All those prize packages, but I just remember it being marked as one of the most... They just did it to be able to say they had one of the most expensive and most elaborate collector's editions, because to be fair, it was more like a package of nonsense that they charge someone $1 million and said, if someone will pay us $1 million for this, we will do all this crap just for a meme.
In the time on the space shuttle, were you actually in space?
Yeah, that's the thing I don't know. It was a trip to NASA for sure, I think, but I don't recall that exact part.
Yeah.
The Navy SEAL training camp thing I could pass on. The Prius thing I could care less about. But the Lamborghini part was kind of cool.
Yeah, you got a...
Lambo.
You got the Chief Collection Edition of Saints Row 4.
If you repeat everything I just said, Mallory...
No, I'm just making sure that you said everything.
What else did I miss?
Capsule robe. Which I don't know what that is. You got a
capsule robe?
Yeah.
I don't know what that is.
Is it a robe that comes in a capsule?
I don't know. I kind of want it. You got plastic surgery.
Oh yeah, plastic surgery is part of the thing.
You got hostage rescue experience.
That was the one I was talking about. Okay. Yeah, that was the Navy SEAL thing.
Spy training. Personal shopper. 7-night at the top Royal Suites in Dubai. Yeah. A week for 2 at Jefferson Hotel. First class flight to Dubai.
How bold of them to assume you have a friend.
Right? Virgin Galactic space flight. Lamborghini. Prius.
I like how you said Lamborghini, so disappointed. Like, I get all this nonsense. Oh, a Lamborghini, who cares?
You got a space car membership and 1 year of auto insurance.
Oh yeah, you did get insurance for your cars.
What a deal. What a luxury.
That is awesome.
What a deal. I told you, for $1 million. And
I get car insurance on top of all this?
For $1 million, that was a deal.
Oh,
but yeah, no, they obviously just did that so they can now say we have the record for this.
Yeah, because the other ones were like, Assassin's Creed 3 was $120. Halo 3 Legendary is $130. Call of Duty Black Ops 2
Imagine going to like GameStop and pre-ordering that, because you had to put
I don't know how you bought that.
You have to do like 10% down or something.
No, I think for that one you had to pay it outright, but I also think you had to buy that from Volition's website directly. Like, it was like on the actual Saints Row site.
Yeah,
they were just like, I wonder if the guy who bought it
doing that retail.
Yeah, oh god. I wonder if the guy who bought it didn't actually think it was going to be a thing and didn't really want to spend $1 million on it. It was just like, ha! And then it's like, oops. But I don't know. If you have $1 million to like do a joke, I guess you probably have.
That's probably like the best joke to go in on, though.
I mean, people had money to make a meme truck, so.
That's true.
There's that.
Yeah.
And then you have that couple from the UK whose kids spent like $80,000 in microtransactions, and they didn't even really have that money.
Oh my god, what?
Yeah, that was a thing.
My parent would have annihilated me, I'll tell you that. I tell you what, I wouldn't be a kid anymore, I'd be gone.
After I had my tonsils taken out, I ordered like $100 worth of stuff on Amazon, because I was like doped up. And my grandpa immediately...
What the hell has this podcast become?
I don't know.
It wasn't me, it was the
my grandpa immediately like took my phone, the card. He left me in the hospital like to recover, and he left me with the card and my cell phone. And I went and spent so much, and he was like, "Nope, never again." He like broke my cell phone in front of me, and I'm like crying because I'm all like sick and stuff, and I'm like 16
and probably still high on painkillers.
Yeah, and we get home and there's all these boxes, and he's like, "This is what you get. You no longer have a cell phone, but you get boxes." I was like, can we just return this?
So for those who skipped to this part, this is a video game podcast. That happened.
That did happen.
So that was the thing. Resident Evil 3, apparently remake on the way. Not much details otherwise, but the success of 2 has compelled Capcom to go ahead and dump more money into this franchise that, lo and behold, people wanted more of the same type instead of making the crappy ones that they made for a while before realizing everyone wanted like actual Resident Evil games. Resident Evil 2 Remake was really cool, so I never thought that would happen. Even less people thought this would happen, so really cool. So yeah, Resident Evil 3 Nemesis on the way there. That's pretty exciting. Outer Worlds released recently in a patch a text scale feature for those who are old and blind like me, or what I think it's actually kind of gearing towards and hinting is, since they do have that Switch port on the way, I think this is more so for that. Because Outer Worlds already had tiny text. I can only imagine how tiny that shit would appear on the Switch screen. So I think that this is like accessibility option they're adding to the retail versions that are out already, but I think it has a lot more to do with gearing for that Switch release and being like, yeah, people are probably going to want to not have ant-sized text on the screen and be able to scale it to what they want. So I'm all for accessibility options. First of all, how like a lot of games are just coming standard issue with colorblind options now, things like that. I'm all for that. First of all, because everyone has issues that they may need to have certain things adjusted to help play them. And when it comes out of the box like that, instead of having to do a makeshift like glasses to make you see a certain way or whatever, it's nice. And I think that this just works in terms of. Having a nice option, as well as gearing it for the up. I'm very, very excited to see how it runs on Switch. Yeah. I think it's going to be a very good port. I think that, like CD Projekt Red, they're going to put a lot of work into it, but because it's Obsidian. But I also will be so heartbroken if it runs bad or if it's not a good port, because that would be really heartbreaking. But again, I have yet to be really disappointed with too many Switch ports, as I do say on pretty much most episodes. So there's that. Mallory, More Time with Outer Worlds.
I have not, just because I've been so busy trying to figure out.
Luca, any time with Outer Worlds?
No.
Great. Shenmue 3. Shenmue 3.
Now I have time to play it, so
we're
I'll
so
play
well
more.
versed in this game.
Shenmue 3 came out, and it's bad. I mean, let me put it together. It works. But it's Shenmue 3. This is the problem. It's objectively was going to be a bad game. It's a sequel that's like 15 years too late. And may I address that I hate all the articles that are like acting like it's been 15 years in the making or using some bullshit headline like it's been in development for this long when it's actually been more like 3 or 4 years.
Yeah.
I just hate it when things do that, where it's just like, wow, we've been waiting this long. No, you haven't, because it was only announced 5 years ago, so there's no way you were waiting 15 years for this sequel. You may have wanted it for 15 years, but no. Stop that shit. So it exists in a world where Yakuza now exists, and that's a big problem for this game, because it was like the proto-Yakuza. It was like where Yakuza drew its inspiration from. But Yakuza said, let's make a game like Shenmue, but not shitty. And thus, the Yakuza franchise was born. And now we don't need Shenmue. And unfortunately, this is just more proof of that. The graphics look really bad for a current-gen game. They look like you took the old Dreamcast graphics and poured Vaseline all over it. It looks shinier, it looks smoother, but it doesn't look better. And the bad voice acting just isn't charming anymore. It's actually very irritating. Thankfully, they fixed the thing where, like in Shenmue 2, when you would play it, it sounded like the mic would be clipping so bad that it sounded like their mouth was like right up to the microphone. And they were screaming into it for some reason. They resolved that issue because it's 2019 and that better not be an issue. But it's still bad Shenmue voice acting. All of it is like it's not good.
They try to intentionally make it bad,
Shenmue.
like the original Shenmue.
Yeah, it's like they, And this is all on top of the fact that we were already talking, or John and I, back when John was still on the podcast, we were talking about the controversy earlier this year where they had they announced it, they launched a Kickstarter, only to announce that after it got kickstarted, that Sony was already going to publish it. Deep Silver got in on there. They got 3 or 4 publisher backings, and they did 2 Kickstarter campaigns. So they basically had 5 or 6 funding sources to make this game. Very shady amounts of source, fund. Where did all those funds go? You know what I mean? And then, on top of that, because it definitely didn't go into the game, because that game was bad.
It went to this one picture. That's it.
Don't show me that picture ever again. It's a bad...
I'll send it so
ugly,
we can link it.
Yeah, I'll send it in the link so I can put it in the podcast notes, but it's just a really ugly...
I think I saw, a video for Shenmue 3, and I honestly thought it was just, a higher res version of, the older...
Yeah.
I was like, oh...
Nope, this is it. This is what everyone paid tons of money for.
Yay.
Also,
Glad I didn't.
Let's not forget that one of those like shady backings I talked about was also Epic Games Store, because it is an Epic Games Store exclusive on the PC. So on top of all that, they even got in on that controversy by at the last second, despite the fact that the Kickstarter promise was a Steam code.
Yeah.
Sold it out to Epic Games and said, yeah, fuck your Steam code. And then even fought the people who got mad about it to nail it first. So basically when that went down, people were just like, alright, fuck you, it's not on Steam, I want a refund. And they were just like, how about no? And so many people complained that they were just like, okay, fine, we'll refund it. It's going to be on Steam eventually, but if you really, really, really want to get a refund, I guess. But the problem is, Steam's refund system is so convoluted that Epic's refund system is so convoluted. Like, it was just a nightmare for... That was straight... I'm sorry, I feel like that's illegal. Because they funded something on Kickstarter that said for X platform, and when it was right the launch year, all of a sudden it's Y platform, and they're just like, why is everyone mad? I just don't get how this comes down the pipeline of good ideas in a business, and they're just like, yeah, who's going to be pissed about this?
I mean, I'm pretty sure there's some gray legal area where it's like, because
I'm sure there's an asterisk somewhere. I don't have
because they could probably say like, "Wow, we didn't say you'd get a like right at launch." You know, we just said
eventually you'll get a Steam code. Yeah. So people had the option to wait, people had the option to refund, or people had the option to just bite the bullet and get it on Epic Games Store. I think everyone who got the refund definitely made out like a bandit, because the game just ended up not being good. So there's that. Creator Yu Suzuki, not surprisingly, said he would love to do a Shenmue 4. Because when your game steals millions of dollars from people, I guess you would like to do another one when you can take money from people and not go to jail for lying. They should just call it Shenmue 4 The Money. Shenmue 4 The Money. Because at this point, that's all it would be for, because this guy doesn't even first of all, this is...
Sounds like a horrible policy plan.
Yeah.
All you get is Monopoly money when you get the game.
Shenmue 4 The Money.
That's it.
Yeah.
I'm gonna run on this platform, Shenmue 4 The Money.
Speaking of Monopoly, did you guys see that they dropped thing for Monopoly that supposedly it's a new version of the game that makes it the longest way to play Monopoly?
Why would you want to spend more time playing
Monopoly? If you play Monopoly proper, that shit takes forever already.
Yeah.
If you've ever played Monopoly?
I don't think I have ever finished a game
There's a reason
Monopoly.
That the original Monopoly came with how to play a quick fucking game version.
Two different instructions.
It
almost ruined my family.
This one, well, it's Monopoly.
Just like capitalism does.
Yes.
Yeah.
Thanks,
They also have Monopoly for kids with cats and dogs version.
They have Monopoly for millennials, where you can only use credit cards and stuff like that. And now they have the longest...
Monopoly for millennials is like, you don't have money.
That's why you're charging it on your credit card. And then now you also have...
gentrification.
It's a weird cover where it shows like the Monopoly guy like strung the fuck out and being dragged by like a turtle or some shit. And I was just like, this is... Who thought this was a good idea?
I'm gonna go buy that game for Christmas this year.
Probably a boomer.
Do you like playing Risk? Is Monopoly not long enough for you? Do you like how long it takes to fucking play Risk? But you'd rather play Monopoly? Here's the game for you. Because that shit'll take fucking forever.
Shit.
So there's that. Alright. What does this note say that I can't read? What does my bad handwriting say? Oh, right. This really cool cover case for your Switch is coming out. It was very popular. It's by Ori, and it was originally released in Japan a long time ago, but it's finally hitting the Western shores, including the U.S., for $40. It's basically a snap-on case that also has a cover that also covers it, that you can fold back when you're playing, and then close, and it's completely concealed in a semi-hard shell case. Very nice looking. I'm going to link it down below. But it's $40. But it's probably one of the nicer cases that you can get for your Switch Lite. For your Switch Lite. That you can get. Disclaimer, for your Switch Lite. But it's one of the cooler cases out there, and the accessories are really nice. So there's that. Are you guys looking at the cover of the longest game of Monopoly ever?
No, I found the parody.
Or did you find oh no, why? I'm not linking that below. And then, finally, there's been a countdown on, was it Atlus? Who publishes Persona? Atlus, right?
Yes.
Okay, so there's been a countdown.
Yeah, I think they publish and develop, I think.
Right.
Yeah. There's
been a countdown timer going on. The next big teaser reveal for Persona 5 Royale, the upcoming We don't really know exactly what it is, but we're assuming it's like Persona 4 Golden, but for Persona 5, where it's an expanded version of the game. So very appropriate to what we talked about at the beginning. Persona 5 Royale is going to have a big announcement in... When is this live? This is totally a Monday, right?
Yes.
It's Monday when this is so super live. And it is Monday morning when we're all awake for some fuck all reason. And that'll be in about 7 or 8 days from now. The announcement will finally drop. So, Persona 5 Royale, for people who are looking forward to that, there you go. Nice. Alright guys, main topic time. If you do want to drop us a line and talk about it, you can hit us up on our social medias or drop us an email at disconnectedcastmail@gmail.com. That's disconnectedcastmail@gmail.com, and you will get into the last time we talked about it, it was not out yet, but now the Stadia's out. Ooh. And it's time to talk about how how Stadia's launch week went. Not good. So, one of the first things to point out about Stadia... Oh, first of all, Luca, are you well aware of the Stadia, what it is at all?
No, enlighten me.
It's Google's attempt... Here's what Google thinks. This is the fantasy world Google lives in. Google believes that this is going to be their version... It's their console that just launched recently, console in quotes, to compete with Xbox, PlayStation, and all that stuff, that you will no longer... have the burden of downloading or owning your games physically. You'll still pay the price, which we'll cover in a bit, but you're just going to stream your games all the time.
Yeah. Across multiple devices.
Yeah. The big sell is you can now, not just can you play your favorite games like Tomb Raider 1, 2, and 3 from the latest version of Tomb Raider on your tablet, laptop, phone, or the actual Chromecast console itself, but you're streaming it the whole time, which the projected usage is 20 gigs an hour, and that's not taking into account that a multiplayer game is sending and receiving data constantly.
Yeah.
So that's what the Stadia is. The Stadia is an always... a lot of gigs. Yeah. The Stadia is an always online, always streaming console. Now... As you just said, that's a lot of gigs, right? So one of the first things to get you caught up on the news, because there's a lot of it, Google was asked, ISPs, a lot of places have data caps. Google's answer was, Phil Harrison, Google's answer was, cable companies, internet companies, they like to make money, right? They don't want to piss off their customers. We're sure they're just going to generously raise those caps because Stadia...
Oh my god.
It's like, what the hell? What world do you live in where this was going to be a thing? Like, that was their answer, though, was like, we feel people will accommodate our console. What?
Oh my god.
It's so bad.
That's so funny.
So, there's a story now. The Stadia also, right before launch, was announced to be missing about 90% of the features they bragged about. So there's that. That whole list is a very long list I won't go over again because we were busy laughing at that entire list last time.
Yeah,
all of this stuff, like being able to play on multiple devices.
Listen to our previous episode.
Yeah, basically.
Yeah, we talked about all that.
But we talked at the end of the last episode, like the last 20 plus minutes of the last episode, does detail all that in a lot of detail and laughing. But it's going to be missing the feature to play it on all your favorite devices unless you have a Pixel phone or Google tablet.
Yeah.
It's going to be missing the ability to play with you get a free buddy pass to give your friend some of the service perks at launch. That's delayed. As well as
the family plan.
The family plan. Yeah, and stuff like that. Basically, most of the things they bragged about it didn't even launch with that stuff. Yeah. So that's a thing. And the final thing is the fact that even though you're streaming, even though you don't technically own these games, you're still paying the full retail prices, up to $60 sometimes for these games, and you have nothing to show for it if the console dies within the next fiscal year, which I'm predicting still. So, of course, the most non-answer that Google gave on their AMA about it, when a lot of people asked that, what happens if Stadia dies very soon and we have spent hundreds of dollars on games on your platform? Their response was, we get that a lot. We understand that is a concern of you guys.
Is that it?
That was basically it. And that was basically the way they addressed that question, which was not addressing it. And that was basically it. Or they were just basically like, yeah, we understand it's scary. And then that's basically where they stopped talking about it.
End of scene.
Oh, no.
So now the Stadia's out, and let's get caught up on what's been going on its very, very first, not even full week. Basically, by the time this goes up, it's first week of launch, basically. Because it launched basically on Monday. Now it is Monday, so there's that. All right, so first of all, at Washington Post, journalist Gene Park, posted one of his great experiences with Google Stadia, in which he played Destiny 2 on the Google Stadia. Now, in his conditions, he played them on a home setup, as well as Washington Post's office setup, which has, objectively, at the Capitol, the fastest possible, not secret government satellite internet you can possibly get. And so, on that tested setup, Gene Park played Destiny 2. There's a GIF that's going around of him that you guys can find. I'll try to find the link or just link the whole article below, but he hits the space bar to make his character jump, because he's using a keyboard setup. A whole 1 Mississippi later, the character jumps. Now,
oh no.
Think about that latency. And that's a whole 1 Mississippi. And you imagine playing Crucible or multiplayer in Destiny 2, in which case everyone is on a entire 1 second delay during the game. And that's assuming everyone in the world has perfect internet, which they do not, especially most places in the US Australia has potato internet, Canada has good places and lots of places with potato internet. Yeah. Most of the internet in the US is potato internet, so unless you live in Japan or Korea where they have future internet, you still, even under perfect conditions, you're having these problems. And the infamous GIF I kind of prefaced and just stopped talking about all of a sudden was, the GIF is him hitting space, looking at the screen, waving, then his character jumps. He does all of that in between. He hits space, looks, waves, and the character jumps. He was able to do all that right before, in between him pressing spacebar and the character jumping. Yeah. And that is under ideal conditions. 2 of the other games that came out at launch for the Stadia was Samurai Showdown and Mortal Kombat 11, which are both fighting games, which are objectively need the least amount of lag possible when you play those games, and you're going on at least 1 second lag. At least. That's perfect conditions. 1 second lag, which means everyone else in a world will be running on God knows how many, Now, there were, of course, he did mention that there are times where when it did run well, it did seem a bit like magic, where, the fact that this game is not installed on anything and it was coming through the pipeline, it seemed like, but then he would have those dips where he would then very grimly realize quickly, this is not ready. This is not, we do not live in a world where streaming games is ready. But don't worry, guys. Google has since put out a little bit of a guide on troubleshooting how to get your Stadia as perfect ready as possible. First, maybe buy a $500 router. No. First they said buy a better router. The one that they linked was a really expensive, like $150+ router that they were just like, something like this. Why the hell should that be? You know what I mean? And then the other one, there were several other things that they noted on that guide of how to troubleshoot getting a better Stadia connection. The other thing was, make sure no one else in your household is using the internet.
Okay.
Oh, okay, cool.
We're now back to dial-up, where you would say, Mom, I'm playing my games! Get off the phone! We are now back to could you not do Disney Plus? Could you please stop playing online? I'm playing Stadia.
Can you just stop everything you're doing? Go to bed.
Yeah, this is the thing. That was those 2 things, among others, were in their troubleshooting guide.
Oh, we're back to dial-up? I miss dial-up.
It's just, it's insane. It's absurd.
I don't want to be on dial-up ever again, but I miss dial-up.
Yeah.
Yeah, I only know one person. I only know one person who has tried the Stadia. So far, he hasn't had too many problems with it. So,
Josh,
but I think that's also
on Stadia on MK11.
Oh,
it's probably the only time I can beat you.
Maybe. I mean, I am very rusty, but Yeah, the problem is that it seems like it's going to be such a case-by-case basis, because he hasn't had any problems. Like, he played Destiny 2, he said he was able to get a few headshots in. He posted, like, a little, I guess an image or something of him playing Sam Show, and it seems responsive. But the fact that it's going to be so intermittent, you have to depend on your connection. Now, I don't know how many others live with him either. Yeah. So I don't know who else is on there too. So it just
let's think about the current world we live in already. Even when you're playing a multiplayer game online, fighting game or otherwise, your ping versus everyone else's ping.
Oh yeah.
And now you have this big middleman ping that everyone is relying on. It's insane. It's just not realistic of a thing, you know? There were a couple of things people fought with me over the pre-release to now, over the episode, and the criticisms I had of the Stadia over the last few months. And some of the stuff people had, the first thing I wanted to bring up is the fact that people were just like, well, you know, you got to give everything a chance because tech can only develop in a chance. That would have been fine if they didn't market it as a proper console, like a addition to your Xbox and PlayStation as a console.
Yeah.
The marketing, for me, already nullifies that argument.
Yeah.
And then there was another thing, I totally forgot what it was. It was just one that I was so dismissive about because it just made no sense. I was just like, shut up, that's not even like a real thing. And then the other thing was, another funny thing that happened with it is that Destiny 2 being one of the first big launch titles for Stadia, they were bragging about how it was going to be free, only to have it go free to play everywhere else after they made the announcement of it being free on Stadia. So that was kind of a weird thing where they were just like, you get your first free game for Destiny or for Stadia is going to be Destiny 2, where it is now free everywhere else since that was announced.
I mean, I guess they're not wrong.
But it's just funny to brag about now.
Yeah. You get Destiny 2.
You get Destiny, but I get Destiny 2.
Another criticism, apparently the controller is very flimsy. Like, apparently the thumbsticks feel really mushy and bad. And the overall build quality of the controller is not great, which obviously has a lot to do with the experience you'll have with gaming, for sure. Especially because it's the only compatible controller at the moment, as the Bluetooth is very limited at launch. And then on top of that, a big problem people were having, because right now the Founders Editions are the only ones that are out. If you pre-ordered it and you were part of you got the Founders Packs, you're getting that. Everyone else, for open retail, should it still survive, will be sometime in 2020. This will be officially launching to the masses. Christ. But what happened on launch day? On launch day, a lot of people reported the following. They got an email from Google. It was a real one, not a phishing or anything. Real email that said, there seems to be a problem with your order. There's been a hold on your Founders Edition. Please click this link to resolve the issue so we can go ahead and finalize the order and ship it to you. When you click that link, it canceled your order.
What?
So what a lot of people think happened is that Google, they think...
I'm sorry.
It's really bad. It's really bad.
That's great. I don't know what y'all talking about.
Hey, a lot of people got saved that day. That was the rapture for a lot of people.
A+ customer service.
Yeah. Can you imagine? Like, you're all like, oh god, I better resolve this so I can get my Stadia sometime in the next couple of days. And you just got a message that says, thank you, your order has been canceled. So what a lot of people think happened is a lot of people think that Google was very caught off guard with how many people actually bought into what seems like a year-long April Fool's joke and didn't produce enough units. That's what the assumption is. So, in guise of good customer service wink, threw in a little bit of a link on some. Now, some people claim they were actually able to resolve their orders, but a lot of people also reported what we just said. So a lot of people think that they did a little bit of picking and choosing, and we're just like, all right, we have 1,000 units ready. Yeah. We're going to have to cancel the other...
Who really wants these 1,000 units?
We're going to have to cancel the other X amount of people's units, and the only way to do it is to pretend like there was a hold on their order and get them to cancel it by accident.
But that's just a theory at this point.
That's just a theory. Yeah. However, the reports
Stadia
theory.
I'm going to do it to you. April Fool.
Oh, God. However, the reports of that actually happening are real, though. And a lot of people did
that's terrible.
report that was a thing.
That's kind of like when GameStop just canceled everybody's pre-order for Kingdom Hearts edition PS4.
Yeah, without telling anybody.
And just being like, here's a gift card.
So another issue that Google runs into is the fact that, and for all those people who are arguing with me day and night about, well, you just got to give it a chance, is that Google is notorious for killing off a lot of tech. Some people, of course, tell me, well, look at all the stuff that did succeed. But I also have to point out all the stuff that didn't succeed.
Yeah.
And the fact that this is Google, again, that we're talking about, who is so quick to kill off stuff like this and doesn't want to answer what happens when the Google Stadia dies, just leads me to believe that this just is going to end up another one on the Google graveyard.
Yeah.
But don't worry, everybody, because Google, these guys, they're marketing geniuses. Mm-hmm. Another thing they announced recently is that for your Stadia, when you get these additional controllers to insult your friends by asking them to play Stadia with you, you're going to want to get more controllers, right? Of course you're going to want more controllers so you can share this experience with everybody. But Google, they're pioneers, man. They're not going to go the same route that PlayStation goes down or Xbox. Fuck those guys. Those guys, they're too masculine. They're turning gaming into a boys' game. We don't want that. This is 2019. We need the girl gamer representation, that non-binary. All right? What are we going to do as Google, as a company? Phil Harrison thankfully announced we are going to be introducing gender-neutral Google Stadia controller options, including black, white, and green.
What?
Because there's never been black, white, or green controllers before.
I don't know any of those colors.
Are colors not gender specific already?
So this is another weird thing that Google thought was going to go over well with the world and decided to announce amidst the already existing Stadia controversy.
You can custom your controllers.
I have a black PS4 controller. I have a white PS4 controller.
Yes, this is really, for those wondering, this is really something Phil Harrison said. This is not a Hard Times article that we're accidentally reporting on. Yeah, so they call the green wasabi green, by the way. I feel there's a bit of a as an Asian American, I have a bit of a problem calling it wasabi green. No, I'm joking. No, but anyways, so black, white, and quote-unquote wasabi green. They're saving the gaming industry, guys.
Apparently.
You females and non-binaries out there, bless Google. Because now we finally have the non-gender tied. You know what I mean? This is exactly why girls don't buy consoles. As several girls we've had on here own green consoles. It's because you haven't been able to have your black or white.
Never been able to have a controller that makes me happy. That's it. With the color, just the color.
It's so weird.
PS4 literally released like a rose gold controller. Definitely not geared to women.
Nice, it's baffling. And they announced it so... The funny thing is the tone of the announcement. It was so confidently progressive. Like, they were just like, hey, the Stadia may be fucking suffering. This is going to put us over. Like, that was the attitude, and the fucking... Dude, his dick grew 8 sizes that day. Like, he was so sure of himself that this was going to go over well, him and Google. They were so surprised that including several news outlets that are for either feminist or non-binary news outlets were like, what the fuck?
I'm sitting here, what the fuck? Come on, Google.
It was baffling. I could hardly believe that I had to reason because I had to make sure it was real. It was real. It's the most bizarrely confident thing I've ever seen get announced that just made me go, what? Like, this is almost more surprising than the Stadia's condition.
It makes me think that Google's maybe, like, a little bit detached.
Yeah, that's absolutely it. They're so detached from reality because they thought the Stadia was going to work, first of all. That's detached as it gets. And then the fact that they thought that this was going to be an announcement that was going to be so progressive and so revolutionary.
Part of me is also... this is a whole nother can of worms.
Of
part
course.
of me is also... not as surprised considering how, like, anti-LGBT, like, Google has been recently.
I mean, that's true.
So, it just, like, adds to the cringe.
There's a bit of irony, too, in the fact that they went with such a tone to assume that video games are primarily played by guys still. Like, now, you do have those study statistics that show it's like maybe like a 60-40 split probably, where overall there's probably more dudes who play games than girls who play games overall in the world. But it's not quite this thing where they made it sound like girls have been shackled away from video games
right? Like
in their huts for years now and are finally breaking out of the chains and starting a revolution to play video games. Like we weren't just talking this whole hour to Luca and Mallory about playing video games.
yeah, right. Like I haven't been playing video games since I was like 6.
It's just and the tone deaf wording, gender neutral controllers.
The controller's not already gender neutral.
Yeah, like these are locked in. All right, Mallory, we're gonna play PS4. I have a gold one, a blue one, a black one. You can use the black. You definitely can't use the blue one. You better stay the fuck away from that one. But
hey, blue's my favorite color, though.
You can use my black or white PS4 controllers because those are safe for you. Those won't kill you.
Oh, those aren't the ones that are gonna hurt me.
The other one, the blue one, you'll die if you touch that one.
Oh, okay.
Stay away.
I still want to play with that one though, because I'm pretty sure the blue one works better than all
Well,
the other
you know
controllers.
what? If I was you, I'd want to play with the blue one so I would die and not exist in a world in which Stadia exists. Because that's going to get us flagged, first of all. But anyways, it's one of those things where it's just... And this is also why I didn't sign the YouTube channel off as being kid-friendly.
Yeah.
Because I ain't getting caught up in that Copa controversy, which is a whole other thing. But anyways, but yeah, no, it was baffling. Like, I just couldn't... I could believe it because Google, but at the same time, whatever. But I don't know. To me, going back to Stadia as a whole, I'm just going to wrap it up on this note. Just some food for thought for those who haven't already just run away from the cackling. Is the fact that if it at least launched with all the features they bragged about and promised, and it had this issue where it has that 1 second latency periodically, but like Josh said, for some people it runs fine. I would be like, you know what? Growing pains, I suppose. I mean, like, I still don't believe we're ready for this, but you know what? They fulfilled all the promises that they did brag about ahead of time. It was ready for launch. It was at least fully baked, if at least missing the frosting. You know what I mean? Like, I could at least go with that. I would have been a little less cynical and a little less, negative about it. However... given the conditions of everything we covered last time prior to launch, and everything I was able to add on now after launch, it's just absolutely mind-blowing, like how not ready this was.
Yeah.
And I understand a lot of proper news outlets like Polygon and whatever had to use more friendly language than I did, and had to be a little less mean, where they had to say stuff like, Stadia, not quite ready, or whatever, instead of saying Stadia, fuck off.
Go
I get it.
your order.
Yeah,
for yourself.
Yeah, I get that, but at the same time,
Google
it's
does it
just
for you.
it's just so short-sighted. I think that the theory that Pat or Wooly from Castle Super Beast proposed, where they said that this just really seems like somebody at Google wanted to say on their resume that they got something to launch while working at Google. So that way when they work on their next project that actually is a thing, they can say, hey, I launched a product at Google.
I didn't say it was successful.
It from development to launch, and who can say that?
Yeah.
I think that's an interesting theory, because it almost seems like this is too much of like a parody or a comedy of a product.
Yeah.
It's just so short-sighted and blind. And then the controller thing's just tone deaf. That's what that was. That's a whole thing in itself.
Yeah.
But sticking to the console news, it's just so short-sighted. Like,
It is.
like just internet speeds alone should have already shown that it wasn't ready.
Yeah.
And they still went for it. So I don't know. So Luca, what do you say? Have we sold you on getting a Stadia?
Oh yeah, I think I'm gonna go out and buy one right now.
There you go.
You can play with the white controller, and I'll play with the black controller, since apparently we're
Be
not
safe.
allowed to play with any other controller, except for green.
Okay.
Yeah, you gotta be safe out there. All right, y'all. That is that. We gotta once again thank Luca for joining us. It's been a blast. Been following your work for a while now. Like I said, ever since your roots, seeing those old videos that you mentioned about earlier and stuff like that. You know, back when Gangnam Style was still new, is when we were still when we first when that was still new and fresh. That was when we first heard about you. So this has kind of been in a way from the outside, the glass on the outside looking in. It's nice to be in that glass house with you now, and it was cool sharing this time and episode with you. So we really do appreciate you taking time out to be with our nonsense and shenanigans.
Yeah.
No, thanks for having me. It was a good time.
All right. Well, you guys remember earlier that you can find Luca at the social medias as well as us. Make sure to check her out. We're going to link her stuff all down below. And remember to catch all episodes of Disconnected Cast every Monday at disconnectedcast.com. And until next episode, we'll catch you guys then. Until then, see ya.
Bye.
Bye.
Refreshing.